All right, so in the previous lecture, we created some functions for our admin pages. In this lesson, we're going to look at creating some admin menus that are going to call those functions so that we can actually see those pages. So, admin menus. WordPress says that usually plugin and theme authors need to provide access to a settings or options screen so users can customize how the plugin or theme is used. The best way to present the user with such a screen is to create an administrative menu item that allows the user to access the settings screen from all the administrative screens. You can read more about admin menus on this page here. So let's create our admin menus. We're going to go to our WordPress dashboard here. And I just want to highlight under posts. This is the admin menu, okay? So we're going to create a menu like this that shows an item here and then some sub items in it, okay? So to create our menu, let's open up our code editor. And what we want to do is we're going to create some new functions in our filters section. So let's navigate to our filter section. That's section 3 here, and hit return a couple times. Okay, so we're going to create a new function, and following what we did in our last lesson, we're going to call it 3.1. I'm going to provide a hint for what that function is going to do. So this function is going to register custom plugin admin menus. Okay, so I'm going to create that function. It's going to be called ssp_admin_menus. All right, so we're going to start by creating the main menu, and I'm just going to include a little PHP comment here that says, hey, this is the main menu. I'm going to create a variable called top menu item, and it's going to be equal to a string, and the value of that string is going to be the name of the function that we created for that page. So in our last lesson, we created an admin menu page with a function called ssp_welcome_page. Below that, we're going to call a WordPress function called add menu page, and we're going to pass in some attributes here. So that function, according to WordPress, is it creates a top-level menu section in the admin menu sidebar and registers a hook to a callback, which is going to be our function for outputting the page content when the linked menu page is requested. And it also returns a hook name variable. So the usage of this function looks something like this. I'll just paste it in here so that we can take a quick peek. Okay, so we pass in a few different things. The first thing is going to be the page title. In our example here, we're not going to bother passing that in. Next is the menu title. So that's what's going to show up on the menu. So we're going to pass in Snappy Surveys. The capability. Now this is there's on this page here. I'll show you this right here. You can read more about the different capability options that you can put in there. But for this example, we're going to use manage options as the capability. Then's the menu slug. So this is the path to that particular menu page. So we're going to actually be using our top menu item variable, which is the name of our function for that. Then the function that we're going to call, that's going to we're also going to use this as well. That's the same there. And then this next item here, this is the icon URL. So this is WordPress has built-in icons. Let's look at that here in our dashboard. All these icons next to these menu items, these are built-in WordPress icons, and we can access those with special CSS classes. So in our code here, we're accessing a new icon called chart bar, and the full class is -icons-chart-bar. If you want to see a full list of those icons, you can find a cheat sheet, and I'll put the link on the screen. So here's a cheat sheet for the dash icons, and next to each icon, you can see the class that's being used to call that icon. Cool, so there we are adding our top menu item. So we can remove that example there for the add menu page. Next, what we want to do is add our submenu items. Okay, so below that here, I'm going to add that in. So again, I'm using PHP comments so that we can keep track of what's going on in our code. This is great for personal use, but it's also great if you want to bring others into your project somewhere down the line. They won't have to contact you every day to ask you where they can find certain things in your code. So these are submenu items here. We've got 3 submenu items we're calling a welcome page, a surveys page, and a stats page. So actually, this surveys page isn't going to work right now, but we will set this up in the future, just so you know. So here we're calling another WordPress function called add submenu page. This is much like our function that we just called for menu page, only this one is going to be a child of a menu page. Now you can notice that we're calling a new WordPress function called add submenu page. It's very similar to our add menu page function. I'll show you an example of the usage there. So with add submenu page, it's almost identical except that we pass in a parent slug. That's this first item here. That determines which menu page it's going to be the child of. So in this case, the parent slug of our welcome page is going to be our top menu item up here. Then we pass in a page title, a menu title, the capability, and then the menu slug, and then the function. Okay, so here we can see the page title, we don't need that again. The menu title, that's going to be what shows up in the actual submenu. So we're going to use welcome. And then the capability is going to be manage options. And then the menu slug for welcome is actually the same as our top menu page. So we're going to use the top menu item. And then the function that we're going to call is also going to be the top menu item. Below that, we're going to call a surveys page. We're going to create this page later on in the course. But for this example, again, we're using the surveys. We're setting the menu title to be surveys. The capability is the same. And then for the menu slug, we're actually going to be calling the path of a post type page. And we're going to create that later. And then below that, we're setting up a stats submenu page. So similarly, menu title is going to be stats. Capability is the same. And then the function that we're going to call is this is the function that we created in the previous lesson, SSP stats page. And so that's going to be the menu slug as well as the function that we call. Cool. Excellent. So you can save that. So now we've created this function that registers custom page admin menus. And again, we know with functions, they don't do anything unless they're called. So this is where WordPress hooks come into play. So we're going to navigate to the hook section of our code here. And we're going to add a hook to call our new function. So we're going to, just like with our other functions, we're going to create a hint here. We're going to name it 1.1. And this is going to register custom admin menus and pages. Okay, and this is the function or the hook that we're going to be calling. Okay, so we're calling a WordPress function called add action. So add action, this function hooks a function onto a specific action. More specifically, this function will run the function to add when the event hook occurs. So let's look at an example of the usage of this function here. So here's an example. So add action takes in a few parameters. We're only using 2 of them for this right now, but these are the parameters that it takes. The first is the hook. So in our example here, we're calling the admin menu. This is a specific action hook that WordPress fires when it creates menus in the admin section. So we're going to hook in our new functionality into this action. Okay, and the next is going to be the name of the function that we're going to be adding, that we're going to be running when that event happens. So this is going to be our new function that we just created, the ssp_admin_menus function. Then we've got a priority option and the accepted arguments. You can read more about those on the WordPress Codex page here. I'll just open that up here for you. So you can read about the priority option, the accepted arguments on this page. All right, so I'll just remove that example there. Cool, so now we've updated our code with some instructions to create menus, and we've hooked in that function to run on the add menu action event in WordPress. And last but not least, let's update our table of contents. So navigate to your table of contents section. So we added some new stuff under hooks here, so we can do that. And we've added a new filter function here, so we can add that in there. Perfect. So make sure you save your file. And if we go now to our WordPress dashboard here and we reload, we don't see our menu, and that's because we haven't activated our plugin yet. So let's go to our plugins here and click activate on Made Snappy Surveys. Awesome. Okay, cool. So you should see this new menu item here showing up. It says Snappy Surveys. We can see these sub pages here, welcome, surveys, and stats. And let's click on welcome. And there we go. There's our welcome page. Let's click on stats. And there we go. There's our stats page. Now surveys hasn't been set up yet, but we'll set that up in a later lesson. So awesome. So stay tuned, guys. In the next lecture, we're going to set up some custom post types, and that'll handle this survey page here. See you in the next lecture.